We are back with more What's Now, taking a look at your health, specifically vaccines, not necessarily the COVID-19 vaccine, but routine vaccines. Many people have gotten behind within their vaccinations. What do you need to know about that, especially in light of life after the pandemic? Well, let's take a look.
Vaccinations. We hear the word everywhere, yet the rate of routine immunizations continues to be alarming. In fact, a recent study showed that many individuals who should have received recommended vaccines in 2020 did not. And that is concerning, especially when an estimated average of 50,000 Americans die of vaccine-preventable disease each year. Family physician Dr. Beth Oller is joining us to discuss why now is the time to get back on track with the immunizations you need, particularly for older adults and those with chronic conditions, and what you need to be asking your doctor. Thanks so much, Dr. Oller, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with that survey and the data. The most recent numbers reveal a lot about who's not getting important routine vaccinations. What are some of the big things that stood out to you?
I think the biggest thing that stood out to me were how many people who should have received recommended vaccines in 2020 didn't. In fact, there were more than 17 million missed doses of recommended vaccines among adults last year. And this is concerning because we know that adults, especially older adults, are disproportionately affected by vaccine preventable illness. It's also concerning because this decrease in recommended vaccinations puts us at increased risk of outbreaks of vaccine preventable illness across the country.
And vaccines are especially important for people with chronic health conditions, as mentioned, but it sounds like many people are putting them off, which is dangerous, right?
Yeah, it's particularly dangerous for those with chronic health conditions to miss recommended vaccines. Chronic illnesses can make it harder for your body to fight infections, which then puts you at an increased risk of more severe disease or complications if you were to get sick. I also think it's important to understand that staying up to date on your recommended vaccinations not only helps your health, but also helps to protect others who may have chronic diseases or conditions by preventing the spread of disease. And all of us staying up to date on our vaccinations helps us keep our community of immunity.
And can you talk about the vaccines that are recommended and what is the best time to schedule them?
I always tell my patients the best time to get their recommended vaccinations are as soon as we realize that there is a vaccine recommended for them. The great thing about being at your family doctor's office is we can usually get those vaccines for you the same day. Now, the particular vaccines recommended for you will depend on several things like your age, your past medical history, and any chronic medical conditions you may have. However, your family doctor will be able to tailor the recommendations specifically for you. The CDC recommends that adults be vaccinated to protect against pneumonia, shingles, tetanus, diphtheria, and pertussis, which is whooping cough, hepatitis, and the seasonal flu. And we recommend getting your seasonal flu vaccine as early in the season as it's available. That's usually around September or October.
And the country is starting to open up again. Why do you think people are still postponing important doctor visits?
I think during the pandemic, our mindset shifted from wellness care, preventive medicine, and controlling chronic medical conditions to just taking care of acute medical things that happened. So it's time to shift our focus back to wellness care. So it's the perfect time to get in and make an appointment with your family physician to discuss any preventive medicine measures you may have missed during the pandemic, including recommended vaccinations, and get up to date with those.
As a family physician, what advice do you have for anyone with worries about getting any vaccine?
That the source of information matters a lot. In the age of social media, misinformation is rampant, including misinformation about vaccinations. people share content without fact checking it or confirming that the source is valid. So when you go looking for answers to your questions, seek out information from trusted and valid sites and trusted healthcare providers like your family physician. You can go to familydoctor.org/vaccines to find the answers to many of your questions. And I would recommend writing down any other specific questions you have and bringing them with you to your appointment so that you can sit and talk face-to-face with your family doctor about these things. We would be happy to have those conversations with you, answer any questions you would have, and get you up to date on your vaccines.
Thank you so much, Dr. Beth Oller, for joining us today with this important information about vaccinations. We appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me.